With these 4 champions, my account hangs in the balance. Or not. Hello everyone, Bront, CatHerder here. We're having some fun talking Raid Shadow Legends, and we are here on the Free to Pause account. As you saw, hopefully, if you haven't had a chance, check out my shard pull video from Saturday. I'll try to have a link to it up above if I can remember to do so. But I did not have the greatest of luck, but I got a couple of champions that I think are going to absolutely help my account because I am really, really close to Lydia. So let's actually talk about my plan to get Lydia, because I think I might be able to get Lydia within the next 2 weeks. So first of all, if we look at my star total here, I am at 917 stars out of the 945. And if we look here, there's a couple of factions that I'm still missing out on a little bit. So over here, I've got 2 stars I need in Barbarians. Many of you might be aware of this because I did make a post on it. The only reason I did not finish Barbarians is because at the last moment, Syl got provoked. Somebody died on my team, and she took 2 double turns and killed the boss rather than letting me revive the one last champion I needed to revive. So if I build that champion just a little bit tankier, and to be fair, that champion was level 40 of 50, so they're already level 44 of 50, just having them sitting around in my training grounds. So they will eventually be level 50 of 50, which will make them enough tankier, and to be fair, I can probably glyph some stuff up that I'll be able to do that. Plus I will have up to 4 bites at that apple to rerun that to try to get that to work. And for the most part, that entire thing worked on auto. So that'll be awesome. So Barbarians is effectively done and will be effective my 12th or maybe 13th or 14th one. So that is 2 stars right there. Ogryn tribes. Ogryn, I do have some stuff I need to clean up in, but Ogryn is close. I just need to basically do the last 2 stages. I need to do enough damage against one of the waves. It's the Shiramani wave, which is always a DPS test. I have a plan for that. Demon Spawn has been a problem because I don't have enough damage in that, but I have a plan for that one. And of course, we have Lizardmen, who's been an interesting problem as well, but I finally have a plan for that. So let's go talk about those 3 and some of the new champions I have either pulled or been holding on to that we're going to be building and getting through these factions. So here are my demon spawn. And if we look at my demon spawn here, we've got Tyrant, who's been absolutely amazing. He has been a huge carry for this account. He has been honestly one of the better champions I could have asked for on this account when I got him. So that has been absolutely amazing. We've got Dur the Hungerer, who I recently got a soul for, so that will be very helpful. In fact, I should definitely pick something for this soul to actually be good. Maybe Miracle Heal. Maybe Commanding Presence, because I can certainly do something with that here. You know what? We're going to go with Chainbreaker because he needs a chance to remove some of these debuffs, because I know with that boss, that's going to be a problem. So that will give me some extra HP with him, which will be very helpful. We've got Allure, who's going to be very helpful in controlling the boss. She might be a little squishy, so I may need to make her a 6-star overall, but otherwise she is great. And I'm honestly going to have to make her a 6-star soon, because with Doomflower, the Dark Fae rotation coming, she is going to be necessary for Dark Fae on this account as well. So she has been a great pull. She has brought more stability to my Fire Knight team. Not that it was unstable in the first place, but swapping out Geomancer for her has made it so the shield never comes back by the boss. And while it runs are slightly slower because overall Geomancer was doing just a bit more damage, and of course he is also a 6-star versus her being a 5-star, she has proven again to be very, very useful in keeping the shield down and just keeping the waves from, you know, taking turns. And then I've got Marquess and I've got Fellhound, who've been kind of my damage dealers per se. Now, Fellhound does some decent damage, but he is very squishy, and the build I've got him in right now is just kinda okay. Now, I certainly could make him a 6-star to make him a better damage dealing champion, and he could eventually be a good campaign farmer, because on the correct, you know, floors, he is one of the fastest campaign farmers in the game. But I really haven't found a huge need to spend those resources to do it, so I haven't really pulled anything for them. I honestly could make him faster. That would probably make him better as well for Faction Wars. But that's where Marquess has come in. Marquess has actually been a very good damage dealer overall. As a defense-based damage dealer, she is generally kind of tanky. As you can see here, she's actually got a good amount of HP compared to Fellhound as well, and she's definitely a better than he is in the defense. And yeah, she is a very solid damage dealer. I probably am going to want to book her. So we've got CVC coming up soon and some champion training stuff probably coming up tomorrow or Tuesday, because we are going to have a new fusion coming starting tomorrow. So at least tomorrow as I'm recording this. I'm recording this on a Sunday, so the fusion starts tomorrow. And yeah, she does some good damage with this ability, especially if you can land that weaken. So getting the weaken to land a little more would be helpful. You've got the freeze here. I'd be a 4-turn cooldown. This is a 3-turn cooldown already. So getting some books into her will get me some extra damage. I might need to 6-star her to get that extra damage, but honestly, damage is where Heffrack is going to come in. Now, Heffrack is probably going to slide in where Fellhound is as a squishy damage dealer, but Heffrack absolutely nukes. So as long as I can keep this dude alive, Heffrack is going to carry this team from damage perspective. So what I'm hoping is that Heffrack is going to carry the damage, Allura is going to carry the control, Dur is going to keep everyone alive, and then Tyrant should also help keep people alive with the ally protection as well as the burns. That said, if I find that that is still not enough to beat Demon Spawn, well, that's where Achek will come in, because Achek will actually bring the freeze and the burns, which are kind of nice, so he can help control the waves and the bosses, but also he's going to have this block debuffs, which unfortunately is only 1 turn and is a 5-turn cooldown, bookable to 4, but the strengthen can be very helpful to keep people alive as well. Plus his passive gives a bunch of extra healing for people with burns and freezes as well. So burns cause healing, and since I have another burn champion, that's an extra healing I will have as well. So Achek may end up going into the team as well, which would mean he would probably replace Marquez in the team. But if I don't have to build him, I'm not going to. But, he may be a worthwhile 5-star anyway, because he does prove to be very useful in a lot of content as well. So maybe I will invest a little bit for him and see if I can then move him into the team as well, along with Heffrack. I clearly have all I need to beat the Demon Spawn faction. I just need to, train some of these champions up and do it, which of course is going to be great during some of the champion training events we're going to have soon. Lizardben has probably been my most questionable faction of late, other than Ogryn has been a bit of a problem. But Venomage definitely has brought an awful lot of damage and an awful lot of good support, because she mitigates some damage as well. The cruelty's definitely been nice, especially on a 6-star blessing here. I could certainly build her with some other blessing to just full on nuke people. But the fact that she's reducing 4% defense per hit is basically meaning that I can do more damage with every other champion, which has been great. Brahma, been very, very solid. Probably need to make him slightly tankier, which of course, honestly, basically means I need to build him with the, get us under the 5 stars, probably figure out a way to speed him up a little bit, because under 200 speed is probably not going to be good enough versus the boss. So I need to get him to about 220 speed. So I need to rebuild him just a little bit, but he's been doing great. Broodlord here, another good champion for what I've been doing. I have not had to book Broodlord, but Broodlord's been actually really helpful with his AoE stun, and this single target shield and block debuffs has been helpful. I think will be very helpful against the boss in some cases, where I can mitigate some additional damage and spread it around a little bit. I did pull a 5-star soul for Broodlord, so that is a bunch of extra stats, which is going to help him stay alive. And overall, he's kind of tanky as a defense-based champion, so not necessarily something I'd say is worth majorly investing in. So I certainly have not booked him, even though that might be kind of helpful. But, this is a 4-turn, bookable to a 3-turn cooldown. If I don't have to book him, I don't want to book him. On the other hand, I have booked Broadmaw. Broadmaw is fully booked, means this is a 3-turn cooldown speed increase, and I've got a 4-turn cooldown revive, which is great for him. And then Quargon the Crowned has been bringing me a 4-turn heal and shield. Very, very good. I don't think I'm going to have to book him, but if I have to, I have to. This would be nice to be on more than a 6-turn cooldown, because this block debuffs is very helpful, and most of these champions are going to get this block debuffs. But this is overall pretty nice support ability as well. And then increase the duration of random buffs on a random ally by 1 turn, So if I have to book this dude, it's not the worst thing. But for the most part, he's been fairly tanky, very good support. I do need to put a amulet on him at some point in time, and then probably roll some of his gear up a little bit. But overall, he's been very helpful in the faction. The problem is I've had 4 good champions, and then I've been using Jizzo, who is not horrible, but not great. And I needed more damage or more something else. And that is where I originally thought if I had to go for a second Broodlord, maybe I'd do that, but I wasn't really super excited about that. But Basilisk is going to be interesting. Basilisk can actually do some decent damage. Not amazing damage, but what he brings is he brings an A1 AoE. So I can stick him in some stun gear, build him with some damage, and try to just push my way through several stages. And I think that is going to be a useful way to get past some of these stages. He also has a stun here as well, so I can certainly take one champion and stun him, but I don't actually have to build him with accuracy if I choose not to, because that's the only debuff he can land. So maybe I don't build him with an accuracy. He also brings some additional survivability with a block damage debuff on him as well. That could be good against the boss, because the boss can one-shot some champions. So if he can be basically self-reviving occasionally and tank the boss's stuff, then that's going to make him easier for me to build and easier for me to beat the boss down. So that is kind of my plan here, is to get Basilisk to 5 stars, probably level 40 to 50, build him for some damage, try to stick him in a stun set, and see if we can, wreck some mayhem with a Basilisk. And I think that will get the job done. If that doesn't get the job done, I can certainly start booking a couple of these champions. Maybe Broodlord, who does do some okay damage, becomes a 6-star, or maybe I need a 6-star of Broadmaw just to make sure that he is fast enough and strong enough to be able to not only survive, but keep reviving everybody as fast as possible. We'll see. It is going to be an interesting fight, if nothing else, because I don't have a lot of direct damage dealers, even if I do build Basilisk. So until I get, say a Rosin, I am not going to have a direct damage dealer in Lizardmen, and it's going to be definitely problematic for my Lizardmen. So this is going to be probably the iffiest of the factions. And that brings me to Ogryn, which has been interesting. Ugo has been a hard carry for so much because she's been doing just enough damage to be useful as a damage dealer. She brings, of course, the decreased defense, which has been very, very helpful. And she brings the emergency revive, which is part of the reason I've actually managed to 3-star most of this faction's floors before I got a reviver of some kind. Now I've got a gear grinder. He certainly could be better built, and I probably have gear that I will probably steal off of somebody else to give to gear grinder to make sure that he does have the good gear to be able to heal. In fact, I actually have, if we go into bring in my collection, we go into the preset manager, under the global preset, I have this reviver gear here that, in fact, I'm probably going to steal it off of Tree Shield Knot at the moment, because, I could really use Gear Grinder to be better, stronger, and faster. So that's going to get Gear Grinder a bunch of extra HP and make him faster. Plus, he's now going to have 6% regeneration per turn, and that is going to be very worthwhile for getting Gear Grinder to be a helpful champion. So I guess I got to use that. I thought we might have that free, but that's fine. That's what those re-gears are for. So Gear Grinder, mostly done. Ugir has been viable, not super great, but definitely been viable. I could certainly ascend him to 5 stars. Mostly he's been tanky enough, does a little bit of damage, and the ability to remove buffs from enemies, very, very helpful. So, and the weaken, very, very helpful in doing damage. So I have decreased defense and weaken on my teams here with not really much investment. And then increased defense has been helpful for keeping people alive. Same with the increased attack, increased accuracy for damage. 5-turn cooldown, not great, but not horrible. He's got a chance to come back and do damage if people revive. So that's kind of nice as well, which is this thing here. And his A1 brings some block buffs, which doesn't suck. So is he a great champion? No. Am I really excited if I have to 6-star this dude? Probably not. But he's not been horrible. He's actually been very usable on this account for Ogryn faction, at least. And in situations where I need to use an Ogryn champion, he's already built. He's generally fairly tanky as an HP-based damage dealer. And overall, I can't complain too much, but probably do need to 5-star him in the Ascension so I can get a amulet on him here just to get slightly better stats. And Bellower. Bellower is probably going to be the key to this faction, along with second Ugo. So yes, I'm actually going to build out a second Ugo. I need a second Ugo anyway for Hydra, because I don't have a lot of really good block debuff champions, and I don't have a lot of really good decreased defense champions. Ugo is really good at both of those, plus is really good in Hydra. So a second booked Ugo is actually going to be really, really helpful on this account. So I'm going to invest in her. I've got plenty of books to be able to book her, and going to build her out. In fact, you can see I've been working on her masteries a little bit as well, but complete with working with masteries and building Ugo, as well as possibly 6-starring Bellower just to get that extra damage from having him as a 6-star versus a 5-star. Those two things combined should be enough to help me finish the Ogryn tribes. I've got plenty of healing with both of these champions combined with a reviver and gear grinder, and none of these champions other than maybe Bellower are super squishy, and even Bellower is actually not that squishy in this current build I've got him in as well. So overall, we work on making him a better damage dealer, which probably means, yes, I do need to make his crit rate higher than it currently is. It's, it's 60 some odd percent. I can certainly work on making him a better damage dealer overall. I think a lot of the problem is I've been trying to build him also as a debuffer as well, and he is certainly not, I just don't have the gear to make him a debuffer along with a huge damage dealer. So, we'll leave him in the stun set, probably up his damage a little bit, but that is kind of my plan for the Ogryn. And if my plans work, that means I could have Lydia within a week or two, and that's going to be absolutely amazing for this account. Lydia is going to be a game changer, both from a perspective of she's going to help me in Hydra, she's going to help me in Chimera, but she's such a great champion that she can change every area of the game, and I'm super excited to get her. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to on my free-to-play. That is my plan of attack to finish Faction Wars. If you are struggling with Faction Wars and you don't have Lydia yet, the closer you get to Faction Wars, the more I think it's actually worthwhile to actively look for Faction Wars and see what you can do to finish Faction Wars. So again, that is my plan of attack. We have a fusion coming up, and as you can see here, I only have 3 sacred shards. Now, I've got some void shards here as well, but the clan boss has not been super generous for me. In fact, 2 of those 3 sacred shards have actually been from Hard Doom Tower, which I just beat today for the 2nd rotation in a row, which is great. It's nice to be able to actually beat the Doom Tower. It is a, it's an achievement as always. It certainly is less of an achievement now than it used to be, but that was free resources. And again, 2 sacreds that I got getting up to the top of that. So that's been very helpful, but we're still struggling overall with getting sacreds. So if I don't get enough sacreds to be able to do the summon rush, I may not be able to do the next fusion. But if I have to bow out of the next fusion to get Lydia, well, that's a decent sacrifice to make in this account. It also then means I'm not going to be pulling a ton of shards, so I'll be saving shards up for other events as well. I do expect for this next summon rush to be obvious. Well, the next summon rush is going to be, where you want to pull sacreds in the next fusion event. The next champion chase, which will be in 2 weeks, is going to be likely 2x voids, and you need 25 to 30 voids to do a 2x void summon rush as well. So, we'll see. Maybe I'll still be able to do it with this account. Maybe not. We'll certainly see. I am not going to shy away from trying, but I'm not counting on doing it. And if I have to give up on doing the fusion in order to get Lydia, that I think is a fair trade-off. Otherwise, I think the doggo is going to be really good. By the time this video gets launched, there should be a video where we talk about how good the doggo is. I've actually done a video where I thought his kit looked good. Testing since then has shown that his damage is absolutely insane, at least if you have Packmaster Shayak. And if you don't have the Packmaster, his damage is still good. So I think he will be very helpful if you need a damage dealer for Hydra. He is built differently for damage dealing in Hydra, and I think he will be helpful on a lot of accounts that can help with damage dealers in Hydra. This account, however, well, if we go into my champion list right here, Nuker, 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 and well, new nuker. And that isn't talking about some of the nukers that I haven't finished building yet. Like I've got Nishiyama, nuker. I've got Lemonisi, nuker. I have Dirindil, nuker. I've got a bunch of nukers on this account, and probably far too many of them. So I don't necessarily need another nuker on this account. So if I have to skip that to get Lydia, that's worthwhile. You could certainly argue that maybe I don't need to skip it because Lydia will eventually come if I don't focus on it. But Lydia is going to transform this account so much that I think it is worth pushing away, an extra champion to get a Lydia a little bit earlier, because she's going to really launch my Chimera, because Chimera is someplace I've been struggling, and Lydia is an MVP of Chimera. So, hey, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of my plan. Do you think my plan's going to work with Faction Wars? Do you think making a plan like this is a good idea? I mean, I really do think that it's actually nice to take a look at what factions you're struggling with and see what you can do to make them better, both with normal and with hard. If you're struggling in hard Faction Wars, sometimes it's nice to take a look and see what kind of champions could I use to improve my account. And to be fair with hard, sometimes it's very specific champions. It's only certain legendaries. But you know what? Make the best of your account. Take a look, take stock at what you've got, and see if there are champions on your current account that can help you do what you need to do to advance your account. Always push yourself to go forward, and you will find you will continue to conquer new and better heights in the game, which will continue to make the game fun and challenging for you. So, hey, with that said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate you. You guys are one of the best communities in gaming. Much love, everyone. And until the next video, I am Bront CatHerder.